Welcome to the Creative Island Podcast,
a show aimed at helping creative individuals transform their passion into profession.
Each episode will share powerful strategies, tips, and practical tools to empower you to create the income, the lifestyle, and the legacy you were designed for.
We are your hosts, Adam Bowman
and Jason Pepper.
Enjoy the show. Creative Island Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Bowman. I'm here with my resident host, co-host, I should say, Jason Pepper. How you doing today, brother?
Good, man. I'm good. I like resident host. It's got a good ring.
Well, because it's just like, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm Adam Bowman, I'm the main host, this is my thing, and I'm just here with this little guy over here, Jason. No, it's resident co-host, you know?
Love that.
I wouldn't have it any other way. If you're away, I'm not going to do it by myself. I can't carry the show. I'm just riding on your shoulders, to be honest. And that brings me, that's a beautiful segue for riding on someone else's shoulders. Dude, lately I've been feeling pretty burnt out. It's like mid-February. We're a month and a half, not even a month and a half into the new year. And I'm just like, I'm not dead. I think I'm kind of coming out of it a little bit, but there was a period of time early February where I was just like, I'm done. Like I'm spent. I want to take time off. I'm like, dude, it's like a month in.
Right.
So I think like a big thing today that I think a lot of artists struggle with, and even just like regular business people, is just like burnout. They take on too much capacity. But like, I don't know if you could speak to that a little bit too, but it's just like, maybe I can bounce some questions off of you as well. But it's just like, I just want to know, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but where like burnout kind of stems from, where it's rooted in.
Yeah,
in
totally.
Most capacities. Because I think it kind of transcends business, art, life, whatever. It all kind of funnels into one sort of thing you can kind of articulate, right?
Yeah, for sure. First, we can talk to it because burnout's pretty common. I think everybody's got it to some degree, depending on where they are in their life. They take it on.
Yeah, especially if you're a student too. I hope we have a lot of students listening by now too. It's just like, when I was a student, I felt it burnout constantly. So I think it's definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit different as a student because I think you'll see when we start talking about why students might be burnt out more than or people in the professional world.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a difference, but yeah, what is burnout? Like, define
what
it.
is burnout?
Like, it's just,
you know what I mean? It's not that video game, Burnout Paradise. Like, that's, you know what I mean? But like, I think for me to define it, it's just like, when we talk about this a lot, where you just find that you don't have enough hours in the day and you're hitting your ceiling when you realistically should be breaking through that glass ceiling,
right,
in some capacity. But I think, it really just kind of boils down to like, there's 24 hours in a day. I'm trying to work at least, 20 of them, hopefully, and if not 18. And even when you get up to there, it's like, how much after the 12 hours of work is really good work in the end? You know what I mean? And then you're not getting good sleep. And I think that's sort of the cycle where it's like, work long hours, not good sleep, wake up, work long hours. And then that just sort of leads to poor mental health. And it just kind of trickles down from there.
Totally.
Well,
I think I can agree. Like, I think burnout, like, I would define it as just like being overworked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what it is. But then, so I would look at it like a couple of different ways, because I think there's some important takeaways. We'll correct it. We'll identify what it is. And I think today we can kind of like give people some solutions or some things to think about on how to avoid it in the future. Because it's not productive, right?
No.
So what is burnout? Like, are you feeling burnt out? Like, are you just feeling burnt out because like you're just mentally exhausted from taking on too many things that aren't inspiring to you? Or like, are you physically burnt out because you're just like overworked?
I think it's the first one. Because I think like again, I come from the athletic background. So I think it's like, I always have that resilience when it comes to like, I can stay up the extra hours and edit because I just love to do it. But I think it's like, when I do those jobs or work or whatever, where it's not like the biggest financial gain, and I just start getting in my own head where it's like, why are you doing this? This is wasting your time. You're not seeing financial gains. You're not growing as a human. If you listen to last class, it's not helping with your growth, or last podcast. It's not helping with your growth. It's not driving you forward. It's just, you're in that like a binary circle that's just kind of like, okay, you do this job, get to the next. Okay, you do this one, get to the next. And it's not like a growth of a building block that moves you forward. So I think it's the first one that kind of hits home for sure.
Yeah, the reason I said that is because most people experience the first one.
Yeah.
They feel burnt out.
Yeah.
Because like, to be honest with you, there are professions out there where guys work 14, 15 hours of physical labor and their bodies fail. Like that could be a form of burnout.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's most people.
No.
I think most people just run into the mental hurdle of like, I'm feeling burnt out.
Yeah.
So like, let's look at that.
Let's do it.
What is it? Why are you feeling burnt out? Like, I know for me, I'll give you an example. Like I'm sure we all have those things that we can do where, you know, we find time and resources for. Like the things we love to do, like I can work all night on something.
Yeah.
If I love to do something, I cannot even stop to eat. Like I don't even feel hungry when I'm doing something I love.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, totally.
I can work around the clock and it doesn't bother me. I feel burnout as soon as I do something that's not inspiring to me. So like, I think we can look at that feedback and go, okay, great. You're just saying yes to too many things.
Yeah.
You're doing too many things. And like, well, you know, you have to identify the things. First of all, you have to figure out for you what is the things that frustrate you.
Yeah.
And what are the things that inspire you. And then you have to structure your day in a way that you only do the things that inspire you, and the things that don't inspire you, you have to learn how to be resourceful and delegate them away, or figure out some other method to to tackle them so it's not interfering with the things that inspire you.
I love that. Yeah, that's already great off the bat. I'm feeling better already, dude. Keep on talking.
Like if you think about it, like we're all governed by the same 24 hour.
Yeah.
24 hours.
Everyone's on the same clock.
Yeah.
And it's ticking.
Right? So if you think of your day like, you know, like a big, you know, empty glass, and then you start filling it up with stuff, right? The more you fill it up with stuff, you know, the less room you have for the important things. So, you know, somebody calls you and they're like, hey, I got problems. Do you want to hear about all my problems and come have fun with me? And let's go have drinks or let's just get out of the house. Right? You get that all the time. So you have to learn how to like prioritize what's important to you. Like the highest achieving people on earth don't say yes to everything. They actually say no to everything.
Yeah.
Because they're focused on whatever one or two tasks they have to do in a day. That's it.
Yeah.
And they don't get burnout because they're not doing all the things that aren't inspiring to them. Like, and I think that's feedback. You have to look at that and say, I'm just doing too many things that aren't important to me. That's why I'm feeling burnt out.
Yeah.
So then that's the other thing. It's like, okay, so if it's burnout in that, like, or how to delegate, how are you delegating stuff in your life?
Yeah, so I think one thing for me when I was like early in the, like, because it came from me, it was like, I feel like I'm feeling burnt out because my first little bit of January is dead. And I think from moving forward, I'm going to just I'm going to take my vacation time primarily in January because it's just so dead and I'm not missing, because like I have a sort of anxiety about missing work or missing opportunity, but there was just almost no opportunity for the first 3 weeks. But then it was just like, boom, it slammed, and it was just like wall to wall busy from like personal life because people are starting to go out again, and then just even work life where it's like I'm 95% focused on that, and it's just like day, like, you know, 7-day work week sort of thing. But then I was also just like the first couple of weeks when I got back into the groove of things, I would wake up, try to hit the gym first if I didn't have a shoot, because like shooting obviously for me takes priority. So that's where if I have a shoot from starts at 8, I'm focused on just getting there, showing up with a great attitude. But like if it was the off days where it's just like, all right, I have my time to do work, to level up, to finish some edits or whatever, it mainly starts at the gym. Then after that, I'd kind of go home, sort of just like take my time, not really get into it, not know what I'm doing, not have an agenda, and just be like, get through the day, do a couple things, feel good, be like, yeah, I'm conquering the day, but then realize you didn't do like 8 things that you should have done. So one thing after that, I get super anxious, get super down in my head, start pulling my hair out and just being like, dude, like this is why you have gray hair. Like you need to figure it out. So then I was just like, you know what? If I just go on my notes app and wake up, or do it the night before, which I started doing now, and just go through what I want to accomplish in the day, just have a little checkbox. It just turned everything around like almost instantaneously. It's like, call so-and-so, have a meeting for so-and-so. All right, go to the gym. All right, edit this video for X amount of time. And then just try to like fill it with 12 things is kind of my goal. And then what I noticed is if I didn't finish 4 things, I'd delete the 8 and I'd put the next 4 at the top for the next day, and I'd do those the first thing, and then just try to get through another 8 things or whatever. And I noticed just a different shift in like how I was going about things, because it was like, all right, you have a call, that's 30 minutes, boom, the next thing. But before, I didn't have that agenda. It was just like, oh, I got a call at like 3. Before that, I can just watch YouTube for a couple hours and just like, and be like, oh, but I could have, you know what I mean? And I think I was getting burnt out because I just didn't have the scope of the vision of what I was doing. It was too like macro in that sense, where I was just looking at a huge picture, but sort of condensing it down and really pinpointing where I can get productive. It made me feel way better, and that's where I am at now. I'm starting to feel less burnt out because I can just be like, oh, that's done. I don't have to think about it. And it like once I see that orange check mark, like that's a W, and I'm like, I'm excited about that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
though,
no,
you know?
it is. And like, it's an important thing. Like, there's good feedback there, because as you do something, when when you do something that's inspiring to you, you are focused, reliable, disciplined, and you get stuff done. When you do stuff that's not inspiring to you, you procrastinate, hesitate, frustrate, you just get pissed off, you're less productive.
Yeah.
So that's good feedback. So like, to identify the things that are inspiring to you and to focus on them, like that's kind of the name of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to mention a couple of things here, but like, if you only focused on the things that were really inspiring to you every day, the 2 or 3 or 4 things, top 2 things really.
Yeah.
You're going to be a better person for yourself. You're going to be a better person for your family, your community.
For sure.
Like, opposed to you doing all the things that aren't important to you, and you're just like you're just pissed off and miserable all the time, and you're just like frustrated.
No, totally. Like sometimes, like I feel that so much, because like when I'm in that space of where like I'm doing that uninspiring work, and I get a call, like a homie hits me up, and I just like want to shoot the shit for whatever, which I think is important. You know what I mean? And like, or even like my dad walks in my room, like my office. I'm just like pissed off. I don't want to talk. I don't want to deal with that. I'm just like, get out of here. And I'm just like, I start barking at people. And then like you realize, you're like, man, like I'm just pushing these people away. This is not helping anyone. It's not helping yourself at all. But then when you are doing that inspiring work, someone comes in, you're like, hey, completely shift in attitude, and just welcoming those people. You're like, you know what? I'll give this person 5 minutes today. I'll give this person, you know what I mean? And it's just like trying to like losing the barking and like trying to get out of that attitude and shifting into the aspiring work. It makes way more sense down the line for your mental health, and just like harvesting that community around yourself too, to like boost those peers up to some capacity,
Yeah, totally. So then you start to go, okay, well, how the hell do I figure out like what's inspiring to me and what's not? And like, what does that look like? So I had a mentor once, and he gave me this really cool exercise to do, like to really hone in on the things that you should be doing in a day, and it kind of put some perspective on the things you needed to like ditch from your life. So you get a piece of paper and you write 2 columns down. And in column A, you would write like the actual activity in a 24-hour period that you're doing.
Okay.
So like, and everything, like bathroom breaks, everything.
Okay.
And not everything's going to have a monetary value, but basically write everything out so you know exactly what's going on in a day.
Okay.
In column 2, or column A, column B, whatever, write down like if you had to pay someone an hourly rate to do that task for you in the next box.
Okay.
So you can so then you start to say, okay, like, cooking, whatever, like $20 an hour.
Yeah.
Or like cleaning, like $15 or $20 an hour.
Yeah.
Or like, you start itemizing everything you do in a day. And then you look at it and you'll find that, if you're in business, for example, and you're selling, selling is like between $100 and $1,000 activity usually, right? Because the hours, if you start to divide up the hours you're selling versus like the revenue your business is gaining as a result, you start to realize that, oh my God, it's like $100 or $200 or $1,000 an hour. Sometimes it's more depending on the business. So every hour you're not spending selling in your business, you're essentially closing your business down.
Okay.
So basically what the wealthy people have discovered is that you don't get wealthy once you get money to delegate things. You get wealthy because you delegate. So you guys have to structure your life in a way that you delegate all the things that are below, $100 an hour activities. Mm-hmm. And as long as you do that, there's always a budget there to to delegate all the other things away.
Yeah.
And if you're an artist, and look, let's be honest, most artists aren't in a position to start delegating and paying people to do stuff.
Like me.
The other approach, if you can't love your life by delegating things away, you have to love your life by linking how the certain activity is helping you get to what you need to get.
And if it is productive and it is moving the chains No, totally. That makes a lot of sense. Like, again, like whenever you say shit, it just clicks, bro. It just sometimes.
Yeah, man. I try to give people the most honest truths about the world.
Yeah.
There's a lot of facades and smoke and mirrors. We said in a past episode, like it's all smoke and mirrors out there. So whenever you can get genuine information that's honest, like it's like, oh wow, thank God, I can ditch all that crap I learned that isn't actually true and just this is how it is.
But I think it's also, like what you're saying, just like to itemize it. Like even like I wasn't doing that to the full potential. I was just sort of doing to-do lists, and that's kind of like my master list I work off. Like when I do feel burnt out, it's just like, okay, let's break this down, itemize it, see what we can do. And it's like, honestly for me, like because like people my generation, and even like your generation, like we're not that far apart. Like anxiety and stress is like at a huge peak right now for just because everyone's talking about it. And you know what I mean? So I think even for me, just seeing it on an itemized sheet of what I have to do relieves so much of just the anxiety of just not knowing. Because I think like you're saying in the ignorance, like there's like some anxiety that comes with ignorance and not knowing what next thing to do or what task to do.
Right.
And I think when you have that down, it's sick. And it's like you have 6 things and you get by those 6 things by like 4 p.m. You have so much more time to just do what inspires you. And like, that's for me, like I still do a lot of those things that don't inspire me, but if I can get them done properly and quickly, then I just have more time. I just created more time for myself to be happy and to be inspired and to do extra work that I wouldn't necessarily have done if I had procrastinated and just beat around the bush on the stuff I didn't want to do.
Yeah, totally.
Right. So I think, itemizing it and having that view of what you can actually do to achieve in that day, in that week, in that year helps a lot for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can really speak on this, but as far as stress and anxiety, like it's usually the inaction towards something you should be doing and you're not doing it. So it's not actually, stress isn't actually a thing. It's kind of just the emotion we put behind events in our life.
Yeah.
And usually that comes from not doing something you should be doing.
Yeah, totally. And it's just like, oh man, like I want to do this. It's just like, take that away and then just do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like stop being this big grizzly bear and mad that you're not doing something. And if you just do it, you'll feel good that you're doing it and you won't have the stress or anxiety.
Or listen to the feedback. And like, if money's not your thing, no problem. Find someone to delegate that part of your life away to.
Yeah.
Like it, you know what I mean? Or like cooking. Like I can't, like I like to cook, but I can't stand it. And when cooking gets in the way between me and my businesses, I'm just like I just get really upset.
And then like when you resent cooking, it just kind of takes the fun out of it, right? Like when you begin to resent that. And that goes for everything though, right? Like,
and it's just like some people, it's just not, like I don't really cook and I don't really clean. Like it's just not my thing. I don't
here to hear first, folks.
I'm just like, I'm just not into it.
Yeah.
But as long as I don't do those things and I do the high priority things in my business, I don't have to worry about like not having, a budget for it because it's there as long as I do the high priority things.
So when I start taking on too much capacity in terms of work and video and editing, how does one like me, and for anything that can transcend to any art form or business, how do I start to sort of think about delegating different tasks and things that I don't want to do, and sort of assigning a number in terms of like a price to how much that should cost or which that should look like? Sure.
Yeah, no. Well, first of all, the marketplace sets the price for most things. So like, I don't know much about your business, but let's talk, like for talking's sake, let's say you don't like doing the editing. You're like, you know what? I can't stand sitting there and doing the tedious editing. It just like frustrates me. I just get pissed off.
Yeah.
Great. Well, like say the marketplace on average pays, maybe college grads or entry-level film editing jobs like $20 an hour or something. Let's say like that's just the benchmark. So if you no longer want to do the editing and say the primary role of the business is getting more clients to do editing for, if you just stuck to getting more clients and then paid the $20 an hour to have other people edit the videos, then all of a sudden you're liberated. You give somebody who loves to do editing a chance to do what they love, and then you get to do what you love, and nobody's frustrated anymore, and everyone gets to work and be happy. So that's kind of the idea with delegation. You want to delegate tasks that aren't inspiring to you to people who are inspired to do it. And there are people that love to cook. For sure. There are people that love to clean. There are people that love to do those things that you hate. Yeah. So it's about finding that complementary pairing so that you can kind of start building a bit of a power team. That's all a business is, right? It's a complementary pairing of people that all sort of do the things that other people don't like doing, and then collectively you move things forward.
Well, I guess the more specific question and the looming question is like where is that threshold met to where you make that decision to find someone who is inspired to do that task? You know what I mean? Instead of like making a decision to actually like come to paying someone, like when do you actually in your life do you say, I can't do this anymore, I need someone to do it for me, I need to start looking? Like where is that threshold?
For me, that cutoff happened as soon as I did that exercise.
Oh, okay.
As soon as I identified that like making sales in my business and growing my business and the dollar amount associated with that, I realized that every day I didn't do sales and I was going back to like being a bookkeeper. I was going back to doing project management or something else in the business, all of a sudden I realized that I was doing the business and all the employees a disservice because I wasn't doing the highest priority role. Like if you make, you know, let's say $100 an hour selling your work, and you know, maybe you get a new client every day, but a new client value is like $800. So in a 1 8-hour day, you bring on one new client and it costs you $800. Well, if you're paying a film editor $20 an hour for 8 hours, you've got tons of meat on the bone in your business.
Yeah.
You never have to do editing anymore. And you can make a few mistakes. You might go through 1 or 2 or 10 people to get the right person.
Yeah.
But that's business. That's part of the journey. So itemize the things that you do that generate the most amount of income and the most amount of inspiration to you. Or even if it's not the most amount of income, delegate some, you know, sometimes businesses have to hire CEOs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
totally.
that's okay. And they actually make a huge sum of the business earnings.
Yeah.
But that's because, you know, you understand what you're delegating away and what you're trying to not do yourself. So
yeah. And at the same time, I think that's really important for artists too, because it's like at the same time, you're delegating these tasks, you're liberating more of your time, but you're also building a community and a team that you can execute, you can find problems, execute solutions, and really perfect in your space, in your niche, to where, you know, if you're, any art really, you can apply that to, where it's like if you build that team that you know, you come in, you trust your guns, it's just going to give you more freedom to create, to expand, push the bracket, push what you can create, and just really start hitting home on really cool shit at the end of the day.
It's when shit really gets unchained. That's when the magic all happens. So like, you know, let's use a band, like a touring band, for example. You know, like if you're a band and you're like, say, a singer-songwriter, every day you don't spend booking shows and doing other things like doing social media posts or just like
podcast marketing,
any day you're not doing the high ticket items getting you gigs, which I would assume is the highest paying activity you can do in your business.
Yeah.
Like, let's just assume that that's what it is. It is for some artists, it isn't for others. But that's another conversation. Essentially, you know, you're shutting your business down every hour you're not selling.
Yeah.
So in theory, if you're selling, you've got tons of budget there to pay or get interns or, you know, money's only one aspect too. Like, you know, and you find people to complement these roles. But remember, money's only one form of currency. And, you know, some people will work for you for other forms.
Yeah.
Some people will do it for promotion or publicity. Some people will do it because they want to support you in the cause, or there's some kind of long-term relationship that they're more interested in than like a short-term, like, give me an hourly rate to do this task. So you can always negotiate with people and, you know, on terms and money. So don't forget, money's only one aspect. Terms are
totally, yeah. Awesome. Let's land that plane there. I hope some takeaways just for being burnt out. Just like if you're feeling burnt out, take a day, reassess, itemize, and delegate tasks, and just figure it out. And I think like just persevere, find your resilience.
That's it, man.
And it's just like, you know, you're at most things people we're speaking to, you're not saving lives, so it's going to be okay. And just think about it more objectively sometimes. And I think it's going to be all right. You're going to be successful. Just totally. You know?
Think about it like life is about delegating yourself from lower priority things in your life. And think of how much better of a person you could be if you just did the things you love every day.
Creative Island. Stand on the shoulders of giants, brother. Thank you, guys.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And if you'd like to be notified of more episodes, please be sure to follow the Creative Island podcast now.
Want access to exclusive content, our community newsletter, live events, and so much more? Visit creativeisland.online today to join the Creative Island community.
See you at the top.